going to unmute. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Siena Heights NACE playoff match. We have the Saints here facing off against Winthrop, the number 2 seed, and arguably one of the best teams in the nation, not just in NACE, but also in CLOL. So here we're just getting some of the beginning bands out of the way, and we have uh, Wyatt here as well.
Hello, hello. So this should be a very interesting game for today. Two of the better teams that really ever get a chance to face off against each other. Should be a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see how this plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, right off the bat, we see kind of a unusual pick for the Saints here with Corky. I wonder if
Corgi's a really strong mid laner, has a lot of potential for growth throughout the entire game, and is overall pretty solid pick. And you kind of see Winthrop go through a really consistent bot lane. Lucian Nami is something that almost everyone who's been playing League for the last couple of years has seen this bot lane together at some point.
yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's one of the most like kind of prolific two champ combos that you see for that bottom lane. However, we are seeing a LeBlanc here for the Saints, and that's a fairly common pick. I wonder if we're going to go for like kind of this counter comfort pick this first game. I know that I talked to some of the players, and they're saying they've done a lot of research here tonight. So, yep, and there's the Rel as well.
So my kind of question is, where is this LeBlanc going to be headed? Is it going to be their mid laner? I mean, Corgi and LeBlanc are both typically mid laners, so it's not quite as often that you'll see one of them drop into that ADC role. So I'll be interested to see which one they end up putting in that role versus in the mid lane.
Absolutely. And honestly, Winthrop here banning the Yasuo, I don't blame him. Scorp is in the absolutely crazy Yasuo. I think we're going to see that ban every single time.
Now I will say is we're seeing Winthrop grab a Vi pick, really strong jungler right now. Has a great kit for utility as well as she's really great at breaking through some of that armor. Something where she makes you very uncomfortable about running more than one tank because even one, she just gets a lot of utility off.
Absolutely. But I'm just curious to see what the rest of the Saints picks are. Normally we don't see the Saints on Rel, but we saw them pick them here. So, like I said, I think that they're going to go for this kind of counter play to how they think Winthrop's going to play this first game.
And what's kind of interesting about counterplays are they're not a guarantee. You don't always see teams going for them because there is something to be said about running comfort picks and avoiding picking some random counter picks that you're not quite as practiced on because then you're placing yourself out of your element in order to try to get them in a worse situation, which can be really high reward, but it just depends on how much practice you've had on these champions.
Yeah, exactly. And how much practice, I mean, you've had with these champions, not just as champions, but with the team and the team synergy. And here we see Winthrop going for a Galio. He is a very common and very powerful pick right now. We see him, I mean, we've seen him all throughout NACE. So, not too surprising there.
And he's actually a really great pick in this situation because you've got both Corky and LeBlanc. He gives a great shield to his allies when he's able to ult over to different lanes. Very strong champion into mages. So I definitely see him with the strength in the meta right now being a really good pick here against the Saints. Kled, though, I think is a really good champion right now. Very often slept on just because he's really hard to kill. And a lot of the time you'll think you've got him and Scar will respawn and he's able to get out even if you get him down to like 20 health.
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, we see the Saints finish it up with Amumu, and then we see Winthrop on the Camille. Kind of interesting. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, Camille's actually a really great duelist. So you're seeing two really strong duelists on Winthrop's team. I will say one thing about their comp. This isn't a very aggressive comp. their goal really is to get on the team and just fight it out. I mean, Lucian Nami are very aggressive bot lane, well known for being one of the strongest early game bot laners. Then you see Vi here, typically known for her great engages as well as her ability to shred through armor. You got your Galio to have you a tank who can keep people alive a little bit longer, and then Camille's just a phenomenal duelist up in the top lane. Flood and Camille both kind of serving that same role of being duelists in the top lane. They may be able to balance each other out. I feel like we're going to see a lot of the pressure for this game coming out of the bot lane.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, but I'm really curious to see what the Saints are going to do here and how they're going to try and counter this really good team. I mean, I talked to them. The Saints feel confident going into this match. They feel ready. They feel like they can actually get some movement, get some momentum, but they are recognizing that they are the 15th seed going up against the 2nd seed. So, we'll see here.
And there's a level of confidence that you have to have going into this match. Because if you don't have that faith that you guys can win that uphill battle without question, then you start double guessing your plays, whether you should be really following your gut or not. And when you get into that mindset, it really just puts you in a very, very bad place and starts letting the other team kind of get in your head. So I think Siena's got a good mindset so far. They're ready to go. I think they just have to kind of deliver on their promises to themselves now.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And just looking at some of the ranks here, I mean, we have Ulper here at Diamond 3. We have Animosity at Diamond 2. We have Bebo and Scorp both at Grand Master. Right now, we are just waiting a little bit, trying to get this, trying to get everybody in here. And July here is at Diamond 2, which is a little surprising, but it's kind of early in air quotes in the season here. July only having 54 wins this season, but arguably July might be the best player on the team. At least
yeah, July is not a person to overlook by any means. Exactly. Really great player. So I think a lot of people put some good stock into rank, and they should, because rank is a very important thing in the league. That being said, if you remember, like 2 years ago when we held Worlds here in the United States, Faker took like 4 weeks to get to Challenger, which was like his longest run of Challenger ever. I mean, I'm not gonna say that there's a correlation, but definitely there's some weird things that happen when you're trying to solo queue consistently. Maybe it's a quantity of games. I don't know. I feel like if you watch some of these climbs from low elo or even mid elo up to Challenger, they take a little bit longer on the NA server.
Yeah, no, I think they absolutely do. Now, I mean, it's not going to be as hard as, like, let's say the Korean or some of the Asian servers where it's just the pure amount of players. But here in NA, there's just it's hard. I want to say that we may have less players than some of the other servers in these ranks, but I think that the people in these ranks and, Diamond and Grandmaster all the way up to Challenger, they're just better. But I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell. But speaking of rank and not looking to overlook people, I'm not too sure how to pronounce it, but one of the Winthrop's players, Locale, is unranked right now with 0 wins this season.
And that's scary because you don't exactly know where some of these people are landing if you don't see a rank on there. It'll be interesting to see where he kind of lands in terms of impact in this game, because to me, I'm scratching my head here a little bit. You're this far into the season, and we're seeing someone who hasn't ranked yet? That's crazy to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And here, let's just show some of the bans. You know, we already went through it. We already looked at the draft. So let's just go through it in game just so it's a little, more visual. Um, seeing the Ziggs ban, seeing the Yasuo, pretty common, at least for these two teams. And also, I forgot to mention, Sword is another Winthrop player who's unranked right now. So I'm wondering if this is maybe their second account or their account that they use for their school, um, which wouldn't be too bad. And here we're seeing Scorp on LeBlanc, so it looks like we are seeing a mid lane LeBlanc and a top lane Kled.
Who questions my ability?
Oh, top lane Kled, pretty normal. Mid lane LeBlanc. Where's Corgi gonna land though? Is he there at ADC?
I don't know, it might be. But um, we're seeing the Camille on top. We're probably seeing the V jungler and Galio in mid lane. Again, not uncommon. But we are seeing the Lucian ADC, and you are right, Corki is going to be the ADC. We have Bebo on Corki. So, kind of an odd pick, but honestly, I trust it.
I've got faith that it could be a really strong pick. That being said, it's just so unconventional. Like, I'm very surprised to see this coming out on one of these later games. Usually, teams are a little more reluctant to try new things like this. Not that Corgi's never been run as an ADC, it's just not a common thing to happen. So, I'm surprised to see Siena really stepping out of the box here, but I'll be honest, I'm really happy to see it. Like, this is something that is really kind of unusual, and it's a lot of fun when you get these weirder picks out here, especially if they can deliver on the promise with a win here.
No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I trust Bebo when it comes to anything ADC. So, um, you know,
Yeah,
and
I totally agree with you. I think having faith in him is a great choice here, and hopefully he's able to get some great plays off and really show off that you don't always have to be on a traditional pick in order to really compete here.
no, I mean, absolutely. And here we're just waiting for the spectator delay. Um, I need to change some things on the YouTube stream.
Yeah, because for those who don't know, unfortunate truth is as you go up in rank, as you start to see game like seasons get further and further in, you tend to see random picks happening less and less. More of the you really start to see players kind of go into what's tried and true and avoid branching out. So when you start to see stuff like this, it's actually really exciting, at least for me personal, because I like to see what people do when they have confidence and push themselves a little bit outside of the norm.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And that's what we're seeing. I mean, we're seeing July on Rel, we're seeing Bebo and Corky. I mean, I don't know the last time I've seen Ulper play a Mumu, so
Yeah,
definitely
Amumu is
changing it
actually
up.
one of my personal favorites, and I think Amumu could be the glue that holds this team together. And that sounds a little weird when you think about it for a second, but realistically, that champion has wonderful crowd control, is able to get on to, if they're able to get onto a group of champions, really, he can lock almost every single one of them down, keep them in place, and give his teammates much better engages. So these are things that people don't think about, but they're super helpful, especially in the mid to late game.
No, absolutely. And I mean, we're seeing animosity on Kled. I think we've seen that maybe once or twice throughout the season. Um, so it's definitely a little different, but it's not too shocking.
Yeah, it's not unheard of by any means, but again, like you said, it's unusual. It's not normal for this team. And honestly, that's really the great part about it is I don't really know who to say is likely to win this. Obviously, you can go off of seed, but if we're talking about individual skill champion and champion, this could really go any way.
No, I mean, it absolutely can. Um, Now we do have to keep in mind, as we've said before, you know, Winthrop is not a team to be taken lightly at all. They are second in NACE right now and arguably one of the, if not the top team in CLOL. They are very, very good. And here we see us starting to get into it.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Seconds until
And
minions spawn.
here we see the Saints, kind of just three of them right here, sitting in this, space over here. Two of them are down by the bottom. And here we see them ping the V. Kind of doing their own thing.
Minions have spawned.
Yeah, definitely an interesting start to the game.
Here we see, Scorp in the mid lane, Animosity up top. We see the Rel down in bot lane. We see Scorp getting a couple shots off, getting the link on. And Animosity here just kind of interacting with their Camille here. And is the camera going to go back? Yes, it is. Sorry about that. I am currently trying to fix something on our YouTube stream here.
Just one moment, we'll be right back.
Oh, and here we see Ulper and Animosity jumping, getting the first blood on the V. Scorp here pushing the Camille a little bit. And here we see two of them down in the mid lane. We are seeing that the Saints are currently up on Econ and can't Scorp. Scorp is opting not to push in, but we are seeing the Kled here push a little bit, getting decent damage off, but he's low health. And we are seeing Animosity taking the Camille, which is absolutely surprising. His health was so low, but then we're also seeing the Galio going down. Saints are currently up, not just in CS, but they are also up only by about 1.3k right now, which isn't something to necessarily scoff about, but it is easily make-upable.
Yeah, very easy to make up, but still just a really phenomenal start because, I mean, whichever team gets an early lead has a much better chance of winning the game. I mean, I feel like that's true for most matches, but in League, you can make those early leads into a game-ending thing. So the Saints can really build an early lead. They're going to be very strong throughout this whole match.
No, they absolutely are. But, I mean, just taking down that Galio so easily might be huge for the Saints.
Definitely, the Saints have a great potential if they can keep up with it to just off that one takedown really run away with that lane, and that would be huge for their team.
So, I mean, let's just take a look here at our CS. I mean, they're up in some areas, but in others, they aren't at all. Man, this is annoying. So, I mean, we are seeing Winthrop come back here on CS. I mean, big fight here between July. We're seeing Olberg come down, but we're also seeing the V come down as well. Bebo is very low, but we do get one. And like that, Bebo does go down. And it looks like July might also go down here. But the V decides to fall back after being pushed up to the tower.
Yeah, and that's a really hard place to be at, is do you want to keep being aggressive or fall back? Usually, if a play starts to go sour, you should just cut your losses and step away from it. And I think that's one of the safer plays that you can make.
No, exactly. I mean, you don't want to be pushed up against that tower. It looks like, I mean, the Lucian was pinging that both Void Grubs were alive. So I'm curious to see if they're going to go for that. And it seems like we are having a small jungle interaction here, but just barely. Just pinging them, letting them know they are there. There we see Animosity going down.
Yeah, Animosity dying there, not the best thing to happen with the Saints. However, kind of a rough situation. Yeah, and also as a player. Now this Corgi matchup in the bot lane here. This is really hard on Corgi. Yes, Corgi has a lot of get out tools. However, into a very strong duelist, a lot of gap closing ability. Gonna be really hard to kind of keep that distancing that he needs in order to get a good fight off.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And yes, Lila V from Arcane. But here we're seeing it pretty much tied up. I mean, we are seeing Winthrop ahead by about 800. And let's look at the CS. Up a little bit, but it's very, very recoverable. And here we're seeing the Galio getting jumped by the Rel, the Corgi, and Scorp, but they were able to fall back. But here we're seeing, oh, sorry, excuse me. We are seeing the Camille getting jumped, and the Camille does fall.
And we're seeing this Lucian Nami really kind of doing its job, exactly what they want it to do. Taking an early lead, pushing it out, trying to get their tower down so that they can start to move that lane into the mid lane and really have a strong mid game. Because The advantage of having those two in the mid lane is now you've got CC, you've got good damage, you've got great kiting champions right in the middle of the map where they can rotate to any objective fight. And that's something that the Saints would like to prevent if at all possible, I'm sure.
Exactly. Red team did get the Hexcrate and they got first tower. However, we are seeing a big jump here. And like that, that Lucian is shut down. The Saints up now by 2 eliminations. And they do know that there's a player there, but opting not to push. But they are opting to push the Saints here.
Dangerous plays here happening. Saints having one fall, but can they win this on the clapback? I think that they have an opportunity to.
Now it's just whether or not that Galio has enough to get back under the tower, and it looks like he does. We're seeing 2 of the Saints channeling. Wouldn't be surprised if we see Scorp channel here as well. So we're seeing Ulper not being in a great spot, being pushed back to his tower. Quick look at our CS here. Just that, but items. And their Void Grubs have spawned in again. Here we're seeing a fight between Animosity. But it looks like the Camille is able to get away. And it looks like the Saints are going to get Void Grub.